Here's a question that should bother you more than it does. What if you built the future and then handed it to someone else by accident? In 1981, IBM was untouchable. The kind of company where just having their name on your office equipment meant something. Meanwhile, Microsoft was nobody, really. A scrappy little software outfit run by a kid in his 20s. And yet, within a few years, IBM would make a single decision that handed Microsoft the keys to an entire industry. One decision, that's all it took. Let's set the scene. IBM doesn't just dominate computing, they are computing. Businesses didn't say we need computers. They said we need IBM machines. That's the kind of grip they had. Then personal computers start showing up. Small ones, cheap ones, the kind that sit on a desk instead of filling a room. Most IBM executives weren't exactly losing sleep over them. And honestly, you can see why. Why would serious businesses ditch IBM's powerful systems for these little hobbyist toys? But the market kept growing. Quietly, stubbornly, annoyingly. IBM noticed. And IBM panicked, just a little. Because here's the thing about being the biggest player in any industry. You always have more to lose than everyone else. So they launched a secret internal project. The mission was simple on paper. Build a personal computer and build it fast. The problem? IBM's normal product development cycle moved like a glacier. Years sometimes. The PC market wasn't waiting around, so they did something that went against every instinct a company like IBM has. They started using parts from other companies, off-the-shelf components, outside suppliers, a whole machine built from pieces they didn't control. That one compromise, made purely out of speed and convenience, would eventually cost them everything. Every computer needs an operating system. Without one, you've just got an expensive paperweight. IBM needed software fast. They started looking around. Now, at this point, Microsoft is not the company you're picturing. No campus, no empire. Bill Gates is young, hungry, and running a fairly small operation. They weren't even really an OS company at that point. They were mostly known for programming languages. But IBM came calling, and Microsoft said yes. Here's where it gets interesting. The deal they struck allowed Microsoft to keep licensing its software to other manufacturers. IBM didn't see this as a problem. Why would they? They were IBM. Who was going to compete with them seriously? That clause, that one quiet little clause, was the thread that would eventually unravel everything. The IBM PC launched in 1981. And people loved it. It sold like crazy. But remember those off-the-shelf components IBM used to build the thing quickly? Turns out standard parts are easy to copy. Embarrassingly easy. Other companies figured this out fast. They started building machines that worked exactly like IBM PCs, ran the same software, did the same things, cost less money. These became known as IBM-compatible computers, or clones. And here's the brutal irony. Every time one of those clone makers sold a computer, they needed an operating system. And who did they license it from? Microsoft. Let that sink in for a second. IBM created the market, built the product category essentially from scratch, spent the money, took the risk, put their name on it, and Microsoft got paid every time anyone, including IBM's own competitors, sold a PC. It's almost elegant in a painful sort of way. Then Compaq shows up. They cracked the code on building fully IBM-compatible machines. Customers went wild for them. Same experience, lower price. What's not to love? And Compaq was just the start. The clone industry didn't just grow, it exploded. Dozens of manufacturers piling in, all of them running Microsoft software, all of them, in a roundabout way, making Microsoft stronger. IBM found itself in a surreal situation. They'd essentially created an entire industry, and now that industry was being used to compete against them. It's like opening a restaurant, teaching everyone your recipes, and then watching 10 other restaurants open on your street. IBM wasn't oblivious. They saw what was happening and tried to course correct. They pushed out new proprietary systems, tried to pull the industry back into their orbit, made moves to regain control of the standards they'd accidentally let go. It didn't work. By that point, the market had already made up its mind. People didn't want an IBM anymore. They wanted a PC, whichever one was good value, whichever one ran their software. And the software, that was Microsoft's. IBM had set the spark. But Microsoft owned the fire. To be clear, IBM didn't collapse. They're still a significant tech company, still important, still around, but in the personal computer revolution they themselves started, they lost. Quietly, gradually, and almost completely. The tiny software company that IBM once barely